Hey everyone. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to give you a quick intro. Our guest today is Ejaaz from Accelerate DAO, an investment and development DAO focused on driving open source AI innovation. We had a great conversation about the current AI and crypto landscape, where the space is headed, and the current projects he's most excited about right now. Whether you are in the AI meme coin trenches or just learning about this space for the first time, this conversation will give you important context and insights from Ejaaz, who works in the space every day. Let's get into it. All right, welcome everyone. So today we have Ejaaz here. He is a core contributor at Accelerate. And Ejaaz, it's really good to have you here. You're on the forefront of AI and crypto. So could you tell us a bit about who you are for people who might not know?
For sure, yeah. Firstly, thanks for having me on, Nicholas. I saw some of your early interviews with quite a few folk from the crypto AI space, so it's an honor to be here. A little bit about myself. I've just been a crypto nerd, crypto geek, whichever phrase takes your fancy, for the last 8.5 years. And how that's materialized has been making my mum pretty worried whilst I kind of ignored most of my university degree and read a bunch of Reddit forums and was telling her about this thing called XRP. And she was like, what do you mean? What's remittance? And what are all these things? And I was like, oh, but the tokenomics of blah, blah, blah. But yeah, just nerding out, being a researcher for quite a while. And then somehow converting that into a job prospect, which was my early career working at Consensus, which is kind of like an Ethereum studio, very OG. And I did a bunch of tokenomic stuff over there. So that was kind of like helping design what these new protocols or networks would look like, how you could kind of coordinate stakeholders within networks. Then, kind of progress onto a more product specific role in DeFi and early ETH staking stuff. Moved on to Coinbase, built a bunch of products out there. So yeah, just really like a product nerd that somehow ended up in this crypto world and just can't seem to get away from it.
Nice. It's good you have a lot of context for what you're doing now at Accelerate. And I'm also curious how you'd explain what crypto and AI have to do with each other broadly to a friend who might ask and is really not familiar.
Yeah. So I often think about this a lot, and I still don't think I have like the perfect or greatest answer. But if I were to like dumb it down for myself, I would say AI is going to make super smart humans, and there can be an infinite amount of them. And so imagine you have an army of super smart humans that could do things, a lot of smart things, much better than you or I can, right? If we're to allow those entities or whatever you want to call them, agents to exist, they're going to need some kind of open source software layer to do those things. Okay, but why software, Ejaaz? Well, kind of the hardware stuff hasn't been figured out yet. Robotics will be a thing, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But at its core, like they need to be able to transact with each other. They need to be able to verify that what agent A did was actually in fact true. That's kind of like the founding principles of Bitcoin, like it's sound money. And so it's going to need some kind of a transacting layer, some kind of a layer to create value, tokens, tokenized forms of assets, some kind of a layer to communicate with each other, some kind of a layer to verify with each other. And I think crypto is literally the perfect marriage for AI, right? If we assume that AI is going to be the most groundbreaking technology for humankind, which I believe it is, it's going to affect every single industry, then crypto has to be the rails that it sits on. Okay, a lot of pushback I get from there is, well, why can't they just use existing rails, Ejaaz? Like, okay, you use the example of sending money or transacting value. Why can't they just use Chase? Why can't they just use Halifax? Why can't they just use any other bank? Well, the issue here is, number one, it's not very efficient. If you ever tried sending a wire transfer, and these are things we've spoken about within crypto for a while, right? It's going to cost you a load of money, and it's going to take you like 10 business days. Not just 10 days, 10 business days. Weekends, we don't work. We don't work on the weekends. So that's one thing. The other thing is they have the complete authority to reject transactions or, have their centralized infrastructure fail on you. So there's error 404, the meme. So the kind of benefits of using crypto is they can verify stuff. It's a lot cheaper. It works 24/7, and there's no authority controlling it, which means you always know where the chips are going to fall at any given point. And that is just something that you can marry with an AI agent super well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now we have stable coins on high throughput blockchains like Solana where you can send them for less than 1/100th of a penny. And that is definitely better rails to operate on. I think the only reason we don't operate on those like broadly today as humans is because it just is a more recent development. And AI is coming at a good time where it can really benefit from those.
Well,
That
now
makes
we
a lot of
have
sense.
a pro-government mandate on stablecoins, right? Like we're filming this on Friday, right? And the executive order that the U.S. president signed yesterday basically did a bunch of things. So it repealed SAB 1, 2. I don't know the name. I don't know the number. Sorry. But it allows banks to now custody crypto, right, without it being like some kind of illegal thing. They also stated in the executive order that centralized digital currencies, central bank digital currencies, are going to be pushed back, right? And they want to kind of like favor more US flavored stable currencies. So that might be USDC or whatever that might be. So now, like, stablecoins were already doing really well before this. And now with this increased or pro-regulatory approach, these things are probably going to flourish. And they're talking about how it extends the USD, the dollar. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride these last week or so with
Crazy.
the presidency. Did you see the meme coin coming?
Did I see the meme coin? I didn't sleep, Nicholas. I got like 3 hours sleep over this recent weekend when it all happened. Yeah. So did I predict something like this would happen? Absolutely not. I mean, launch some kind of legitimate utility coin. Yes, I could see the president maybe doing that, but I did not have meme coin on my bingo card at all. Absolutely insane. I think I wrote some thoughts about this, but it was one of the biggest and quickest wealth generating event ever. It was also arguably the biggest onboarding event for crypto ever. I think something like 400,000 new users, net new users, were onboarded onto Solana within 36 hours. Just absolutely insane. And it just got me thinking, like, what does this mean for the wider kind of crypto world? I think wider crypto world, well, obviously all eyes are now on, this industry again. They're like, what do you mean? First, there's this fart coin thing, and now the Trump meme. Like, what's going on here, right? And so they're kind of thinking, okay, how does this affect me? Should I be paying attention to crypto? Should I be investing in crypto? And then on the infrastructure side of things, it's like Solana's now like had this massive amount of load, and they're figuring out, how do they scale and all these kinds of things. So just net very positive for crypto. Now, there are a lot of people that are screaming like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. I see their point of view, and I think that's just a bunch of us, crypto OGs having a lot of PTSD around these things and being like, damn, we're trying to build something cool here. And I totally understand, but I think net it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's a really interesting time to be here, and it's so exciting, and it's strange that he launched a meme coin on Solana. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Do you think it's strange that he launched it on Solana, or do you think it's just strange that he launched it?
I think it's just strange that he launched it anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Solana, made the most sense. Like, I don't know any other chain that could have handled that kind of volume.
Yeah.
It besides maybe like Hyperliquid or something more centralized, but nothing with thousands of validators could have handled that. Like,
yeah.
But let's.
Or they
get
could
back
have
to,
handled it, but it would have been very expensive, I think.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, the anime coin just dropped on Arbitrum, and gas fees spiked to like over $1, and I don't know. It wasn't that big of an event, but it's just like, it's shocking to me that anyone still uses Arbitrum, because it's just like such a worse product than Solana in like every way. But I don't know. I'm biased, so I'll get off my soapbox. Let's get back to Accelerate, though. So could you explain, give a brief overview of what that is and what you're building over there?
For sure, yeah. I think rather than just give like a template definition of what we're doing at Accelerate, I think it's important to give a bit of context as well. So three of us started it or founded it, if you like, our core contributors. Myself, this guy called Marcus, and another guy called Rope, who will eventually be doxing soon, I believe. But the point is, the three of us found each other within the crypto AI trenches. And we're not talking about like gambling on random coins. We're talking about like in Discords, trying to figure out tokenomics for different working groups, and trying to figure out, okay, well, if you use this model, maybe it can help you refine your output of your agent for this thing or whatever. So we were kind of like deep in the weeds, just nerding, and we were like, hey, how can we're product people, and Rope is a very focused engineer within the AI and ML space. So we're just kind of like trying to help people out and be like, how can we push this space forwards? Why? Because we're super passionate about this space, and we quite simply believe that AI agents will be the biggest users, consumers, and creators on blockchains within the next 5 years. So if you disagree with that belief, that's completely fine. And anything that comes out of my mouth now, you can disagree with, and I respect your opinion. But our assumption is that it's that, AI agents are going to become the biggest users of blockchains. Okay, so if we take that as an assumption, then there's a lot to do. There is a lot to do here. And what we've seen in a relatively short time span is there's a lot of really cool open source teams, or just like crypto teams, that are trying to push this space forwards. And the reason why I describe them as crypto teams is it is open source AI engineers plus a token, right? Or it's crypto native engineers plus a token that is incentivizing them to build or focus explicitly on crypto AI. And so there's a range of different products that we've seen being built. We've got frameworks, number one. We've got platforms that are built on top of those frameworks to help launch agents. We've got agents themselves, which act as kind of like applications or websites or whatever that app layer you want to talk about. There's middleware agents or middleware software that like helps connect these two things. There's chain abstraction stuff that's going on. So there's a ton of stuff. And to be honest, I don't think anyone knows, including me, what any of this is going to look like. But there's a lot of excitement. There's a growing developer activity, and Marcus, Rope, and I were like in the center of all of this, really giving our thoughts. And what we found was a lot of builders were coming to us, and they were asking, hey, what are your thoughts on A, B, and C? Or could you help us go to market and all this kind of stuff? And there were a lot of other ecosystem community members that we felt were giving a lot of valuable information. So we were like, we can't scale our time. We can't clone ourselves. We don't have agents of ourselves just yet. What if we just combine everyone together in kind of like a collective? And the instant idea that popped in our heads was, let's create a DAO, right? And so we were really excited by this idea. And remember, like at our founding core, we are just nerds, and we're like, we just want to see this place win. So we were like, okay, let's form a DAO. What would it look like? Okay, are there any tools or infrastructure that would allow us to launch a DAO? DAOs.fun. Some friends introduced us to them. And we were like, okay, cool. They seemed like really aligned with this idea. And so our goal was to create this DAO, but we had to create the vision and founding principles for what this DAO would do. There's a few things to focus on. Accelerate DAO is for the builders, and it's for the multi-ecosystem builders. So what does that mean? Is it just builders that want to go cross-chain or build cross-chain stuff? No. It's to focus on agent infra and agent builders across different chains. So that could be Base, that could be Solana, that could be Arbitrum that you mentioned earlier, that could be BitTensor, a completely separate L1 chain. It doesn't matter. What we want to do is help builders, creators, product enthusiasts build out this entire ecosystem. And Accelerate is going to act as a vehicle, foundation, structure, whatever you want to describe it as, to enable this. So how are we choosing to do this? Well, there's a few ways. Number one is we already do have a core developer team, and that's led by Rope, who is one of our core contributors. And we have a roadmap that is aligned with what we believe our vision to be, which is agents will be cross-chain, cross-platform. Why, someone might ask? Well, if an agent's goal is to execute or do something, it shouldn't matter what chain it executes on. I don't believe agents should be tribalistic. I believe blockchain enthusiasts are probably going to be enthusiastic. Hey, use my platform, use my infrastructure, but agents shouldn't be. They should be agnostic. So we have the core developer team that is building out well, I don't want to reveal too much because we're going to like release information about this, but think of like tools, frameworks, agents themselves that we believe will help builders fulfill this mission or help the ecosystem grow as a whole. The second bucket is an incubator where it'll act as a accelerator. So we'll take in teams that have really cool ideas. We're going to be heavily curated. We're diligencing hundreds of them right now, and we'll do it in cohorts. So similar to kind of Y Combinator, where we'll have a cohort heavily focused. They'll have access to us, advisors, developers, etc., to help them guide a very focused sprint for a month or so. And then they'll have demo days at the end, and they can launch and go out into the world, and hopefully they do well, right? So those are the two like core buckets that we're kind of like forming with the DAO. And yeah, that's our vision. Hopefully that helps. Just a bunch of nerds trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I think that was really well articulated. It makes a lot of sense to me. It makes me think of that the most recent Solana AI hackathon that took place.
Yes,
I believe Cleopatra won that one. That was really interesting. A lot of hype was around that, and it was still kind of at the peak of AI being the main focus. And I think since the Trump stuff happened, it's fallen out a bit of the main spotlight in crypto Twitter. But that's how crypto Twitter is. It has the attention of a fruit fly. But that Solana hackathon was really interesting, and I was thinking like, oh, it'd be good to see more of those. I think a lot of really great products come out of hackathons, and it's nice to have like people who are very in it to be able to judge these products and try them out first.
So I a few things on that. I had the fortune of being able to be a judge at that hackathon. So Yash, who is one of the co-sponsors, reached out and was like, "Hey, would love to have you and diligence these products or projects and see where it goes." So yeah, I really got to see. Well, I really enjoyed working closely with teams. I would like review their demos, look into their GitHub, speak to them when I could, and just like learn. And I love seeing enthusiastic builders. So that was an awesome experience. And I was like, I wonder how we can extend this. Well, we recently announced, we being Accelerate DAO, announced a partnership with Send AI, who was literally the co-partner with the Solana Foundation of launching this hackathon. And the goal with that partnership is, they'll provide their tools and stuff for people that are building through our accelerator, but it will be to eventually, sponsor our own hackathon and do that. We're actually sponsoring our first hackathon, little minor shill. We're sponsoring our first hackathon at ETH Denver. So if anyone's around, we're co-sponsoring it with Story Protocol and a bunch of other folks. Come through, come and hack, and would love to meet you. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's so you were judging all those projects, and I think there was probably a lot of interesting things that didn't come to the forefront. Were there any trends you saw that you would like to see more of, or you think builders should be focusing more on? Like if a AI builder was listening to this right now, do you have any advice for them of maybe what to keep in mind?
It's funny that you mention or you use the term AI builder. What that kind of like appears in my head as is a traditional AI ML engineer that hasn't really got any context with crypto. And I would actually say that I would love to see more of those builders come into crypto, right? Because I think like understanding crypto nativeness is important and it's essential, but it's not an unlearnable skill. There's plenty of people that can help you learn that, help you go to market, help you understand whether your project needs a token or not, or whatever that might be. But I think the value that an AI ML engineer can bring that isn't aware of crypto is understanding what the Web 2 world wants, or understanding what the non-crypto world wants. And I think building agents that do a lot of non-crypto stuff whilst tying in a token would be really valuable. And that could be many different things, right? It could just be an agent that you interact with on X and you at it and it can do your shopping for you, or etc. I don't really quite know, but I want to see more experimentation bridging Web 2 or non-crypto stuff with crypto stuff. And I think like tokens is like the obvious way to do it, but I'm curious to see more experimentation there. Another thing that I think I saw kind of like emergence of within this hackathon, which hasn't really come to fruition yet, is kind of like the virtual worlds that these agents are going to exist in. Now, I'm not talking about like gaming worlds like Minecraft, Roblox and stuff, although that is, appeals to a certain type of audience. I'm talking about like, what kind of experiences can you create for like millennials and boomers, right? In terms of like what they're doing on, they browse Amazon and they shop. They go to a bunch of online retailers and they shop. They are used to loyalty rewards. They're used to the coupon concept. They are used to doing their banking online now or through an app on their phone. I'm curious, what a kind of different medium would look like for them to interact with these agents. Is it a chat GPT interface? Am I just like typing and saying A, B, and C? OpenAI teased their agent product yesterday, so did Perplexity, and it was a chat GPT interface. So maybe that's the start. But I'm wondering, like, what does it look like? Is it going to be like a personal virtual agent that just appears on your phone? Is it going to be like a Siri type experience? I'm curious, what that might look like. And I saw some teams experimenting with that. They had like a virtual kind of chat room or a virtual instantiation, like an avatar for their agent. And I wonder what that would look like. But yeah, those two things are pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest roadblocks I see to having agents actually be useful is the fact that payment rails are so split right now through the whole world. So, if I want my agent to buy something from a retailer in India, that's damn near impossible to do.
Yes.
Right now. And the only way it's possible is if they accept stablecoins or some kind of crypto asset because it's global and permissionless. But if I wanted it to do my shopping and I wanted it to order from Instacart or from Safeway and have it delivered, that's impossible at the moment because they don't accept payment that an agent can interface with, right? And so I wonder when that will change, because I feel like that will be a huge unlock, and it might change during this presidential administration.
Yeah.
If we have Safeway and Instacart taking USDC, I think that would be the biggest unlock for stable coins.
Yeah, I think my left curve take on that is stable coins will be the way, and it'll start off with centralized stable coins or whatever you want to call it, like USDC, USDT, and it'll be through governments adopting or enabling standards that would allow banks to accept this. Like basically there's a bunch of non-crypto infrastructure that needs to get crypto ready. And I think with the recent moves from the US government in particular, it's going to set the standard and example going forwards. Are we there yet where we're flipping the switch? No. We're at the point where mom and dad have given the thumbs up. You can go on that school trip, guys. It's all good. And now we're getting our itinerary prepped. We're getting all our, do we have the right clothes? Have we packed the right things? That's the kind of analogy I would use. And I think we'll see a lot of the prep for the first 6 months of this year. I don't know how quick we're going to start seeing these things happen, but I bet you a bunch of countries, non-US, are going to try and front run the US. So if there's any hint or formal hint that there's going to be like a strategic reserve for digital assets, then nations are going to try and front run that. So it depends on where you're looking. I think we'll see, like, arguably a lot of this stablecoin adoption, by the way, is already happening outside of the US in third world countries where it's incredibly volatile to hold your national currency. So I think we're already starting to see it. I think it'll start kind of like spilling into second world countries and then first world countries in that order, probably. Yeah.
Man, that's really exciting time to be alive and to see the possibilities that are maybe unlocked with this new administration. I'm really glad that we had Trump win because I'm crypto native, and he's been really positive for it so far. What projects are most exciting to you currently in the AI space?
That is a question of which the answer changes literally every hour for me.
Yeah.
Because there's so many cool projects, and I'm kind of to your earlier analogy of like attention of a fruit fly. I don't quite have that, but like I'm always like, oh wow, what's this new thing? So I have like this growing list of things that I just need to diligence, and everyone I think thinks that I'm just not covering it on Bankless. No, it's actually just because I just have this long list, and I want to take the time to learn before I speak about something. But okay, things that I'm excited by right now, or things rather, I'm going to reframe the question, things that I'm digging into, right? So one of the projects is called Ava, or HoloLens. And the reason why I'm digging into it is a bunch of people that I trust who give me varied opinions between themselves have all mentioned this project, and I'm like, okay, what's cool about it? Well, there's the virtual aspect where avatars can, adopt its own kind of like voice system and digital avatar, but also it's like media. And I'm like, interesting. I've heard of a few protocols that are doing something like this, and apparently they make it super easy, and the team is like apparently very focused. So that's something I'm digging into right now and that I'm excited by, right? And that kind of ties into this whole like virtual worlds of agents. I mentioned Hyperfy before. I've mentioned a few others that I'm really trying to like figure out what that quite materializes itself into. Virtuals, the protocol, is doing a bunch of partnerships with teams that will, I think they did a partnership recently with Nifty Land, I think, or Nifty Gate, forget the name of it, that has another virtual worlds thing. So I'm trying to figure that out, and Ava is like currently like one of the things near the top of that list. The other thing is people keep tagging me about this Pippin project, by Yohai, baby AGI. And from what I understand, they had like a quite a crazy ascent in terms of popularity, and then some kind of demo happened, and then they dipped. I wasn't really paying too much attention, but there's still a lot of excitement from builders about it. So I'm trying to figure out what they're excited about and what's differentiated about this Pippin framework in particular. And then the third thing that I'm kind of really digging into is research agents specifically. There's a few kind of like obvious examples like AIXPT. There's a few emergent newcomers like Moby. But I'm really trying to figure out what the perfect instantiation of a research agent looks like and how you may be able to kind of like tie that in with some kind of trading aspect. And maybe they should just be kept completely separate, or maybe like the research agent works with the trader agent and the culmination of that is like the best agent traded fund or something, but something I'm digging into.
Yeah, can I bounce an idea off you? I was like thinking that it'd be really useful to have an AI that kind of aggregates opinions from a lot of different people on a specific topic. Like let's say macroeconomics. There's a lot of people that I follow to keep up with macroeconomics. And it'd be nice if I could ask an AI for the potential headwinds and I guess for a macro outlook, and then have it cite a bunch of sources from those people that I respect. So I feel like that would be helpful, almost as like something that can curate information and then cite it back to me, and I can like go see the original
with like sources and stuff, and like it can kind of give you like you're kind of describing like a daily report, right, of all things for a particular segment of an industry or an entire industry or just macro in general. What on earth happened around the world today, kind of like news reporting agents, I guess, for like particular niches or subreddits in a way. I think that's super cool. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out the architecture of these things, because it's one thing being able to pull data for all of these things. It's another being able to present this data, be able to fact check this data, and also kind of like have contextual memory around this data, right? Like, let's say something happened in the macro world. Why is that important? What has happened previously to make that important, right? These are all things that humans take for granted. We just do it automatically because our brain lets us. But for an agent, it's harder to build. So yeah, we'll see who actually pulls this off.
Yeah, right now I use Notebook LM to like get a bunch of different podcast episodes and stick the transcripts in there, and then I can kind of do that and ask it a question, and it can find me the answer based on a source. But I think that would be really helpful. I'm liking Moby so far. It's been nice to see some of like the whale activity on that front. What do you love in this world, Ejaaz?
That's a big question, Nicholas. What do I love? I love food. I love finding my energy in things that I feel are purposeful for me. Not to get philosophical, but like when I left, my job at Coinbase, I was like, what do I want to focus on right now? Do I want to take a job at a big company, or do I want to do something, smaller with a startup, or do I want to start my own thing? And I would say there are different paths for different people where, either of those things are great and make sense. For me, it was really like trying to dial in what I enjoyed doing. Like, what could I do on the weekends nonstop and get 3 hours sleep over and still be super happy? And it was working in crypto. It was researching a bunch and being able to kind of educate and teach people whenever and wherever I could. And somehow that ended up with me gaining a bunch of followers, which I still haven't processed. I'm just like, who are you people? Thank you for listening. Don't take any of my advice. Just listen, and maybe hopefully it inspires you to build something. The second thing is like I just think about like how I can like kind of like change this industry. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a super technical person. I've worked a lot in product. I was a technical product manager, but compared to like these builders who like code in Rust and TypeScript and stuff, I'm nowhere near. But it's kind of cool to be able to help shape them and help kind of like form like kind of like realize their ideas. And that's where I get a lot of joy from. And that's what I've been doing literally for like God knows how many years at this point. Yeah, that's where my energy is.
I also love crypto. I'm never leaving this place. It's too fun.
It's like a game, dude. It's like I don't know whether you were a big gamer, but I played a bunch of games as a kid growing up. I played RuneScape, I played Ragnarok, I played MapleStory, and so I was just like, I'm so used to these like network economies and shit talkers, you know, so getting the real, you know, like touch point on the internet of humans, you know, not everyone's nice, damn, people are trolls, damn, people are scamming, damn, but it's like kind of like learning those lessons, and crypto feels like a massive MMORPG, like massive multiplayer game. And it's real life and it's real people. And I think there's something incredibly unique and human about that, which I just love.
Amen to that. I described it to someone as the hardest puzzle I've ever had to solve. And if I'm right, I earn money too. So
and the puzzle keeps evolving. Attention. And the goal of the puzzle keeps evolving. Yeah.
And it's also hilarious. Like Trump launching a meme coin, I was like dying laughing for 3 days just every time I thought about it.
It's so funny. Yeah.
How locked into Twitter are you? How much time do you spend on it every day?
When the camera goes off on this podcast, it's the same view. It's literally this. It's just me looking at a screen. I'm pretty locked in. I think that crypto is a balance, believe it or not, but it's not a balance in the sense of 9 to 5 and then, you know, chill and stuff. I actually think it's like really focused, concentrated periods of time where you just need to lock in and it's 24/7. And then there are times where you can kind of like take the foot off the gas a bit and, you know, go and do more human things, touch grass, spend some time abroad or whatever that might be. But right now it's locked in mode. So I'm pretty locked in. Yeah.
I feel that very much. It's like the bull run is here. It's time to be locked in.
Yep.
What's been your highest point since you entered crypto? What point were you most euphoric or most just felt like you're in the right place at the right time? Just thankful.
I mean, there's been a few places that are like a contender for that. I would say when I first got my job offer as like, you know, an intern out of university to go and work on this stuff full time, I would say that was like an incredibly gratifying point because like I'd spent years just researching this stuff in my own time and suddenly someone wanted to pay me for it. So I'd actually say like that is like one of the highest points. And then the other highest point is just kind of, it's not a specific point, but it's like reflectively looking back and seeing all the wonderful people that I've met along the way, that have helped me on my kind of like path and journey to where I am today. Like I wouldn't be anyone without them. So yeah, that's been super cool. It's like a game, you know, it's like walking through a town and meeting someone and like, you know, they're like, oh, hey, like, let me help you out with this. Or, oh, I see you have this problem. Like, this is how you solve it. I just love that kind of stuff. It's like a massive game.
That's wonderful. You predicted that in Q1 of 2025 that we'll see multiple agents managing more than $50 million in AUM, trading, investing, and acquiring capital autonomously.
Yep.
What are the biggest developments that would need to happen to get us there?
So number one, we need a few things. We need the autonomous part to actually be autonomous. And there are varying stages of autonomy. I think, you know, if you go for the heaviest critic, they'll say it like it needs to have zero human interaction. Whereas, you know, if you take a balanced view, it's kind of like it can have certain human checkpoints, but they won't be able to revoke what that agent does. So anyway, kind of answering your question directly, I think agents need to be somewhat autonomous. They need to have a wallet. They need to be able to do what they will with the context of that, with the contents of that wallet. So it might be tokens, USDC, whatever that might be, right? Secondly, they need to have the execution platform to be able to do that. I think we're right on the verge of agents being able to do it, right? There's like the Griphanes of the world. There are, a bunch of other execution, like Wayfinder is going to launch soon. I think these agents are just going to be able to plug in and do a bunch of these things. I also think computer use is going to become more of a thing because OpenAI literally teased this. So I think we're on the verge of seeing the execution part happening. Number three, I think people really need to focus on, and this is like the thing that hasn't been proven yet, people need to focus on the reasoning and the logic of the agent, right? So it's like, on the one hand, yeah, okay, trade A and B if C and D happen. But like, how do you get it to be smarter than that? How do you tie in human sentiment, crypto Twitter sentiment with how it's going to trade? How do you get it to understand the difference between momentum trading and fundamentals trading? How do you define that in its personality? I think that's like where the real differentiator of these trading agents is going to happen. And I'm still confident that we're going to see at least one or two appear within Q1. But I think those are the things that I think need to be figured out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's what got me really excited about AI16Z when I first heard Shah talking about it. I didn't really know much about the open source, like Eliza part of it. I just thought, an AI that can ingest all this information would probably outtrade me. So like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. And I love what the AI16Z guys have been doing. I think that they will be one of the first to achieve it. I think actually Degen Spartan AI, which is their autonomous trader agent, is already trading and is already profitable. I think it's with small amounts and with whitelisted tokens within the DAO fund, but it's already doing it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Well, that's all I have for today, Ejaaz. It was really nice talking with you. I appreciate that you came on.
Thank you for having me, Nicholas. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.